Dancing Della and the Empty Gin Bottles by Maxwell Grantley. My name is Della and I live with my mother. Life is hard for the two of us and I try to earn as much as I can to help pay for the rent and food. During the day, I stand at the entrance of the harbour and sell matches to the workers who walk in and out of the docks. However, in the evening I love to dance for pennies in the harbour pub, the Smugglers' Head. That is why the regulars call me Dancing Della the Match Girl. There is a band that plays in the Smugglers' Head. It is made up from 3 seafaring men, Singing Samuel, Freddie the Fiddler, and Billy the Bottle. My favourite is Billy the Bottle. Billy blows across the top of an empty gin bottle and produces a lovely beat, while Freddie accompanies the fiddle and Samuel sings old sea shanties. It's amazing how something as simple as an old gin bottle can produce a sound so enchanting and haunting. At the same time, I dance a jig and earn pennies to help mother pay the rent. Once, one old woman saw me dance and she said that she was moved to tears by my dancing. She hadn't a penny, so she gave me a straw boater that she'd made herself. That old straw boater is very special to me. It's one of the very few items I actually own. During the spring, I would pick daisies and weave them around the edge of the hat. I also wear the boater while I sell matches. During the day, when I'm outside the harbour selling matches, I can often hear eerie wailing from the sewers beneath the street. The boys often tell me that the sewers are haunted by the Rat Man, a mudlark who was killed by the bite of a deranged, diseased rat. In case you didn't know, a mudlark is someone who wades through the mud looking for discarded scraps or useful items. It's a dreadful job, but you must understand that times are hard for everyone. The thought of the ghostly rat man scares me, and so I would never willingly venture into the sewers beneath the streets. Or so I thought. Last Tuesday, I was standing by the harbour entrance, trying to sell matches to the workers, when a group of boys came up and started teasing me. "Such a sissy hat," one of them hissed at me. "It can only belong in the sewers." With that, he snatched the boater from my head and flung it between the grills of the sewer cover. I watched in horror as my beloved hat rolled deeper into the network, being blown by the breeze that raced through the tunnels. The boys ran off, laughing at my misfortune. I was shocked at the thought of losing my hat. I knew that there was an exit to the sewers at the river, so I headed there to make my way into the underground network. Luckily, there had been very little rain, and so there was only a slight trickle of water in the network. However, the tunnels were cold, dark, and damp, and they smelt foul. Worst of all, the wind blew along the tunnel and made a low, eerie sound, just like the ghostly rat man moaning in agony. I definitely didn't want to spend too long in that awful place. As I shuffled deeper into the sewer network, I was horrified to hear the sound of clinking bottles and the voices of 2 men arguing. I was too deep into the sewers to escape now. In my head, I thought it was the Rat Man or some other ghostly resident of the sewers. I was terrified. I cowered into the shadows for refuge. To my shock, 2 dockmen approached, carrying crates of gin bottles. It seemed that they had stolen the crates from the docks and were stashing them in hiding for later collection. I shuffled backwards and the water splashed below my feet. The two men looked up in my direction, straight towards me. "What have we here?" one of them hissed. "It's some spying urchin kid," the other replied. "Quick, get the little gutter snipe before she gives us away." With that, the first man dropped his stolen catch and lunged towards me. There was no escape. I knew that it would be futile to try and make a run for it. The men dragged me deeper into the sewer network and into a brick bay at the side of one tunnel. It was here they'd stashed their hoard of stolen gin. The bay was crammed full with stolen booty. They had even set up a makeshift bench with mugs and a tea urn on top. "Leave the girl in here, Bert," said the first man. "She won't escape. We'll stand guard outside and then decide what to do with her." The two men stood outside the bay in the sewer tunnel and mumbled all sorts of dreadful plans to dispose of me. Inside, I desperately tried to think of how I might escape. The outside breeze blew along the sewer tunnel, and it was then I thought of Billy the Bottle and his amazing improvised musical skills. If I emptied the gin bottles and placed them randomly around the bay, the blowing wind would create a ghastly, eerie sound. I could pretend that the Rat Man was coming to take his revenge. I knew that gin was expensive and I didn't want to get further into trouble. Therefore, I carefully tipped each bottle into the urn so the drink would be safe while I borrowed the bottles for my plan. Then I placed the empty gin bottles around the bay as the breeze continued to blow into the network. Each individual bottle was very quiet, but the combined effect of many bottles was quite haunting. Next I moaned and groaned loudly. "What mischief are you up to?" Bert called out from the entrance of the bay. The breeze played faintly across the tops of the gin bottles, creating a low hum. "It's the Rat Man!" I cried. "He's coming to get us all!" The two men entered the bay cautiously, confused by the low hum of the gin bottles. However, my plan didn't work as well as I thought. Bert tripped over the first bottle. "You little runt," he bellowed. "I don't know what trickery you're planning, but you're wasting our catch." He picked up the empty gin bottle and waved it in front of my face. "This is decent stuff," he shouted, "and you've gone tipped it all into the sewers. We'll have your guts for garters, mark my words." "Keep your voice down, Bert," said the second thief. "We don't want the authorities to know the whereabouts of our den. Let's take things easy, and we'll plan a way of discarding this urchin." With that, he lit a small fire beneath the urn and began to warm the contents. "Have a mug of tea, Bert," he continued, "and we'll soon hatch the perfect plan to get out of this mess." The two men poured themselves a mug each. Nice and strong with plenty of sugar. In fact, they made the tea so strong and added so much sugar they didn't realize they were drinking warm gin. "I say we whip the girl and sell her to a travelling circus," suggested Bert. He dangled a length of rope in the air to show he meant business. "I say we whip the girl and sell her to the ships as a press crew member," replied the second thief. He also dangled a length of rope in the gloom of the bay. "Whatever," suggested Bert. "Let's just whip her now, and we'll decide what to do afterwards." He reached his hand forward to my arm, but then he paused. The gin was starting to take effect. The vision of the two thieves was becoming blurred. The two men were starting to see double. "Should I whip the girl on the left first?" asked Bert, "while you whip the girl on the right?" "I'm not sure, Bert," came the slurred reply. "I thought I had one rope in my hand. Now it appears I have two. Let's whip them both. with the 2 ropes. Together the 2 thieves lunged forward and raised their ropes into the air to begin the thrashing. As they did so, they collided and fell to the ground in a drunken stupor. It was then I made my escape. I forgot all thoughts of the rat man, the stash of my gin bottles, or the straw boater. I just ran as fast as I was able to the source of the breeze. Within minutes, I was out at the river's edge, with the entrance to the sewers behind me. From there, it was a short dash onto the harbour's wall and towards the first crowd of dockers I could find. I guess it was clear from my startled face and my panicked descriptions that something was seriously amiss. The workers quickly brought the foreman to the fray to hear my garbled musings. "My straw boater," I mumbled. "The rat man and empty gin bottles. The howling breeze and ghostly wailings." However, as soon as I said, "the 2 thieves," the foreman knew. "Leave the girl here," he ordered, "and come with me to search the sewers. We'll get those thieves now before they get a chance to move their stash." I was soon deserted, as all the men ran into the sewer complex, hunting for the stash of gin and the thieves that were drunkenly sleeping in their secret hideout. I didn't want to hang around for too long in case there were repercussions or something. I'd lost my straw boater, and that was bad enough. Besides, it was getting later in the day now, and I had money to earn. Crowds were heading towards the Smuggler's Head, and I knew that Billy, Freddie, and Samuel would all be needing my help. "Ah, here comes Dancing Della, our trusted assistant," cried Billy the Bottle. "Where's your hat?" "Some gang of stupid boys," I truthfully replied. "I'd better dance really well tonight, so I can earn enough to replace it."